guys, it's Ghosdee. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be ranking the Saw films. I've literally been waiting to cover these movies on my channel. I've been so excited to cover these movies, and I have so many things to say about this crazy ass, complicated ass, sometimes doesn't make sense, but still creepy ass series. I love the Saw films. I grew up with them. They were being released every year for majority of my middle school and high school life. I just love this fucking franchise. I haven't put much thought to my rankings of the entire series up until now. I mostly just knew what my favorite Saw film was, and that's pretty much all I cared about. But revisiting the series and watching them, I literally sat in my room and watched these 8 movies for 2 days. I did this. Was a experience that I didn't know I needed, and really put the films in perspective for me in a different way, and I really got to see so much of the Saw films that I hadn't even seen before. It was a lot of fun. I definitely recommend if you have time. It's approximately 18 hours to watch them all. So I definitely say take 2 days off and just binge these gruesome ass movies. In this ranking, I'm going to be starting with my least favorite Saw film and counting up to my most favorite Saw film. Firstly, I want to say that I don't think that Jigsaw is a bad movie. I just don't think that Jigsaw is a good Saw movie. I don't think that it doesn't feel a part of the original 7 films. It feels so separate, and I think that was the goal, which I'm not really mad at. It's just, it was really strange watching these movies that felt so similar and so cohesive, and then I get into Jigsaw, which felt like an literally entirely different movie, aside from the characters in the same concept, and of course it had a plot twist. And of course it had the fucking Jigsaw theme by Charlie Clouser, which, I mean, a Saw movie, it's not a Saw movie without literally the best cinematic piece of music ever. Shout out to Charlie Clouser, you're great, sir. It just felt too separate for the series for me. I've seen this movie twice before, and watching it this time, I really was able to get an understanding as to why I felt like it was so separate. The aesthetic is just off. All of the Saw movies are dark and grimy. I mean, the first Saw movie literally takes place in a dirty ass bathroom, and that's where the game is being played, and usually the games are being played in these like awful grimy places, and the tools that are being used, the traps even look kind of like weird, like you're gonna get tetanus. But literally the whole game in Jigsaw just seems so clean and pristine. The gore in this is not really like gritty and dirty. It's very clean and precise, and I just didn't really like that for a Saw film. But you know, it's not a bad film. It has a decent plot twist. The villain in this, he's just awful. Fucking Logan is literally the devil. He's a fucking psychopath. That's exactly what he is. It just doesn't really feel like a Saw film. It almost made me want to just rank it at the bottom of the list because it didn't really fit with the others, if that makes sense. Going into this movie this time, I pretty much understood that this is probably the least favorite Saw film. I didn't get it because when I first watched it back in 2010, I remember really liking it. I saw it one other time after that, but I was barely watching it, and I should have known that that meant something, because I would always say like, oh, I love the first couple of movies, the middle movies suck, but that last one is so good. But now I'm like, that last one is boring and annoying. It doesn't really do anything for me. My favorite part about Saw 7 is Dr. Lawrence cameo. I've been waiting to see that footless nigga since the fucking first Saw. And him executing Hoffman at the end was the most satisfying thing ever. Seeing him pick up the fucking saw and then looking at Hoffman and saying, sir, no, we've been trying to kill you for like the last 2 movies, and somehow you kept slipping through our fingers. Fuck you. So that's one thing that I really did like about this movie. But everything that's going on with Jill, and then we get a new cop because all the cops are dead because Jigsaw said ACAB. Gibson is this new cop that's on the scene, and he literally just is the dumbest I don't even know if it was the actor or what, but he's just like dumb. He's just stupid. Like, he doesn't know how to do his job, and this whole movie is literally just Hoffman getting away with shit. Even more, like, I was already fucking over that. Hoffman was getting away with shit in 4. Hoffman was getting away with shit in 6. Now he's getting away with shit all of 7, and we only get satisfaction the last 3 minutes of this film. That's really what I'm here for. I just want to see fucking Dr. Lawrence come up and fuck shit up. This movie just doesn't feel like it takes itself seriously enough for me. It feels kind of like lazy, in a sense of like they don't know what the fuck they were doing, and they really just needed to fill space to kill off Hoffman. Really, that whole scene between Doctor and Hoffman at the end could have happened at 6. When I first saw Saw 5 back in 2008, I was in 8th grade. I fucking loved this movie. I really did. And I thought that the reason I loved this movie so much because the main game that is being played in this movie is being played among multiple people. There's a reason that tied them together, and they had to figure that out along with beating the game. That is essentially the same thing that happens in Saw 2. And I really liked that element in Saw 2. So for a long time, I was just like, Saw 5 is great because it like involves this game. As time went on, I started to like it less. And this last watch definitely solidified that this is not one of the stronger Saw movies. I can say that the intro with the pendulum trap, perfecto. I really liked that. I'm not a fan of learning how Hoffman fits into this story. I fucking hate Hoffman. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I hate him, and we spend so much time with him in this movie. It's kind of annoying to see Strom just like on his tail. I can say that the ending of this is also very iconic. Although I hate to see it, watching Strom die, it destroyed me. And it does every time, because I'm like, no! Oh, we almost got him. But that ending, that switcheroo, is iconic. I mean, like, Hoffman, he's a psychopath too. All of Jigsaw. No, I don't think Amanda's a psychopath. Amanda's not a psychopath. I'll talk more on her when we get to her movies. But Hoffman and Logan are two psychopathic fucking, they were just waiting for some serial killer to come to them like, do you want to be my protege? They were just waiting because them bitches are fucking psycho. I don't like the game that's being played between the 5 people. I think that the plot twist, as far as like them having to work together to beat the games, is very obvious. I did know that when I first watched that movie too. When I first watched it, I was like, all of them can fit in the first room. There's those tunnels that people have to be in. You have to get a key to open the door to avoid like the explosion. And I was like, why are they doing survival of the fittest when literally more than one person can fit in that tunnel? And for me, it was really obvious. So I didn't like that. I've been wrestling with this movie for a long time. I don't remember when I first watched this movie. I honestly don't remember. And for a long time, I couldn't remember anything about this movie besides Detective Matthews dying, which was really hard for me for some reason, and Rig being the main guy. I could not remember anything else about this film. I watched it in October, and I was like, oh, okay, this is really interesting. Wow, this movie takes place at the same time as 3. Oh wow, how did I go this long loving the series and not knowing that? And I also really realized that I relate to Rig so much. This, you can't save everybody, saving people is gonna like lead to your death. For those reasons, I like that movie. I like that this movie takes place at the same time as Saw 3. I think that that's a great plot twist. I like that the main character is someone that tries to save everybody, because that's literally just how I am. But the rest of the movie can literally be thrown away. Watching it this time, it became very evident to me that Jigsaw did not create Rig's game because of just the nature of it. It doesn't feel Jigsaw enough. It doesn't feel like enough redemption is being made. It's definitely a Hoffman trap, and that bitch is fucking evil. Like, Hoffman does not create traps to give people rehabilitation. Which is Jigsaw's thing. I'm not gonna like defend Jigsaw. I mean, I'm gonna kind of defend Jigsaw, but what he's doing is wrong. But also, like, he kind of makes a point. But Hoffman was literally setting up traps to make it better for him. Very selfish reasons. And it's so evident as you're watching Rig go through the games, because it just, none of it literally makes sense. And then they just keep throwing these lines like, you can't save everybody. Like, literally everybody's telling Rig, in the beginning of Saw 4, Hoffman says, don't go through that door. And the door he goes through is the door that kills fucking Eric Matthews. Oh, like, yeah. And then Art's character, Art Blank, that... it was just a lot was happening, and most of it didn't make sense. It like did, but it didn't. It opens with Jigsaw's autopsy that technically does not happen until the middle of Saw 5. Why does it open with Jigsaw's autopsy? I don't fucking know, but it does. Saw 4 is really hazy for me because it's the most complicated and weirdest of them all, but it is really cool that it takes place at the same time as Saw 3. And I love Rig. I love Rig. I was also hurt when Rig died. I was like, really, dog? This is one that I have trouble remembering often. Before watching this again, I remember that this film referenced the number 6 a lot, and I remember that it took some huge jabs at how insurance companies basically fuck over people and how we need to be better about insurance and the morality of that. To my knowledge, this is one of the more favorable Saw films for that reason, and it's more serious than 7, and it does more important stuff than 4 and 5. Like 4 and 5 feel like filler movies, and Saw 6 really just pushes us along. I'm not a fan of Hoffman surviving at the end of that shit at all. I actually fucking hate that, but I'm not really mad. I mostly really just like this movie because of the game that's being played with the big insurance guy, and he is to, you know, go through all these lessons along with the people that help him do what he does, you know? And he contributed to John's death, which felt very personal and not just like some random guy going through a test. But yeah, Saw 6 is like a solid, it's a good film. It's not bad, but it's just not like up there with my other ones. I did not expect this to be ranked here. Watching these movies did some things to me. I don't think that there's anything wrong with Saw. I just like these other movies more, and I'll get on to that. Saw is great though. Saw is perfect. Saw fucked me up as a kid. I'm a big fan of plot twists in movies. I love movies that make me think. I love movies that are told non-linearly, and I love movies with great music, and Saw has literally all of that. It is non-linear as fuck. You never know what part of the story you're at, but it's great because after about 3 watches, you should get the hang of it. I said it before and I'll say it again. Charlie Clouser on the fucking beats, on the tracks, with the strings. The Hello Zepp is iconic. It's just as iconic as the Halloween theme. I first heard that at the end of this movie and I literally got goosebumps. And they almost force you to be shocked because of the way they edited it, and with the music, and they're like editing all these scenes. They're like, oh my God, shit. Oh, he was not dead this whole time. He was what? Like, literally, the killer was in the room the whole time, which is crazy because the whole point of Saw is to, who is the Jigsaw killer, right? Who is he? We've been looking at this nigga this whole fucking movie. That plot twist is fucking genius. Lawrence is great. Adam is great because he's kind of funny, right? And his humor isn't really forced. It's just like, he's the type of guy that he feels hopeless, so he has to like joke about it. I like that against the doctor's very seriousness. And we understand that he's more serious because he has a family. Adam is like some fucking poor ass photographer that just trying to live his best life but can't afford to live his best life. But, you know, Dr. Lawrence has a family and he's already like regretting, you know, cheating on his wife and shit. Like he's already, like he's going through what Jigsaw wants him to fucking go through. The whole point is to just like reevaluate. Are you appreciating the things in your life you need to appreciate? If not, like if you really care, then try and survive this game trap. You know, that's just how it is. Logic, duh. At the end of the day, it's iconic. There are mistakes. It's not a perfect film. It's not a perfect script. It's a fucking low budget film, for God's sake. Like, there's fucking mistakes. But it was so original for its time. And it gave horror people another reason to be at the theaters every fucking year for almost a decade. That's amazing. I'm so happy I got to experience a lifetime where Saw came out. This was the first Saw movie I owned on DVD and the one that I've watched the most. Times when we didn't have cable, I was popping this in. Times when I was traveling and I just had this DVD in my laptop, I was popping this in. Although I have seen this the most throughout my life, it wasn't until, I would say, this most recent watch, I really got to just experience it and everything that it has to offer. Saw 3 should be number 1 on my list, and I'll explain why it's not. But this is the best Saw film as far as thought, as far as the characters, as far as displaying Jigsaw's idea and his morals and like the point of Jigsaw. I think this is, as far as like showing that, it's the best game out of the whole series. I love it. It's also a drama. It's very emotional because we have Amanda that is taking care of taking care of John, and it's evident that she's developed this like bond with him through being his fucked up protege. But we have not got to see this side of Amanda up until now, which I think is great. Also, I just love that Amanda's getting a lot of screen time. Personally, when I first saw that bitch in Saw, I was like, this bitch, I don't know why, but I want to be her. Against that, we have this other very sad, like, story. I love watching Jeff wonder, should he get his revenge? Jeff's game is about redemption, not for him, but for these people that were a part of the reason that his son was dead and there was no justice served. And he is to decide to keep them alive or not. And I love that. It's like, revenge. Does it do anything for you? You know, does this person deserve to die because they did something bad to you? The plot twist is that this is Amanda's game. He's got a game within a game. Like, come on, Jigsaw's fucking genius. Saw 3 is hands down the best Saw film, but I can't put it at my number 1 spot. Whenever I talk about Saw, I always say Saw 2 is my favorite one. Saw 2 has been my favorite Saw of the series since I watched it in 2005. And the main reason why is because this is the scariest Saw film. I don't know if it's because it scared me the most as a kid, because thinking about it, it probably scared me just as much as the first one. But this one really, really sat with me and has always sat with me. And I still watch it now and I still get scared. I mean, it takes place in this creepy ass house, which the setting is just like perfect. It's probably one of the best settings out of all the Saw films, honestly, because you're in this house and it's like claustrophobic, but it's not as simple and constrained as the bathroom in the first one because they get to roam this house, but it's not as big as some of the traps in the later films. I love that the reason that all these characters were chosen is because they were fucked over by a dirty cop. I love the scenes we get of John keeping his composure and trying to get Detective Matthews to just fucking calm the fuck down. Donnie, what is his name? Wahlberg played the hell out of like the most disgusting cop ever. And it's crazy because as a kid, I was like, I love Detective Matthews. But now it's like, ACAB. I really love those conversations with him and the keywords he says. I would never get over hearing him say, your son is in a safe place, and his son was in the safe the whole time. Like, he was trying. All he had to do was listen, because Jigsaw really says, like, just follow the rules of the game and you'll be Gucci. Like, period. These characters are great. We have Xavier, who's just this mad ass, like, so selfish, like, I'm doing this for myself. Like, so far as he throws Amanda in the fucking pit of needles, a game that was intended for him. And we have Amanda that is there just to make sure that the rules are followed. And we have Addison that's kind of like you know, sassy or whatever. Laura, that's very scared and vulnerable. Obi's like mysterious. And the most like grounded character, which is hilarious, is the youngest character, which is Daniel, Detective Matthew's son. I don't know, Saw 2 is it's just great for me. I just love the way it feels. It's so creepy to me. This house is creepy. They have poison in them. You know, it's like they have poison in them and they have to find the antidotes to the poison. I don't know. I just think that's great. Thanks guys for watching this video. If you liked it, you can give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel. You can always hit the bell to be notified whenever I release new content. You can follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at DiscoLlama, Twitter at Ghosdee, and Letterboxd at Ghosdee. Thanks. I'll see you guys in the next video.